It's May of 1840. The sun reflects off the golden clay, and the trees are tall and big. In the distance, between two oaks, you see a small pond. It reminds you of everything you left behind. You reminisce of those summer evenings when you and your friends used to run down to the lake and build little forts. You look down at your feet, tired and swollen. You traded your comfortable agricultural life for a new and different one. You know, if you are successful, the rewards will be bountiful. The journey has lasted 2 months, but the end is finally in sight. You start to think that this is it, and you get emotional thinking about how much you have changed over the course of the hardest 2 months of your life. However, you realize your journey is not ending, but rather just beginning. You will always be a pioneer. You will always be a trailblazer. Now you must forge a new life and discover things for yourself. 173 years later, Americans are still pioneers. We are pioneers of ideas and technologies. We are individuals. And this idea of being an individual is essential to the American identity. For being an American means discovering truth for oneself. From the very beginning of our country, in the 1600s, this principle has been true. Although the Puritans migrated in order to discover truth through freely practicing their religion, some rejected individuality and fell into superstition. Present-day historians name this time period the Age of Faith because citizens valued religion over everything else, and it was religion that shaped their society. It was a time when, instead of discovering truth through reason, men and women relied solely on a faith that was passed down to them from previous generations. They did not claim this religion as their own, and they blindly trusted it. This blind trust led them to blame women for witchery without any concrete evidence. Stephen Vincent Bennett writes in We Are Not Superstitious, a superstition, a belief, flares into a crowd madness and kills before it has run its course, as it did in Salem in 1692. These first Americans did not discover truth for themselves. They did not discover this truth about religion, and that led to the harmful effects of superstition. In the 1800s, Americans believed that in order to find truth, we should not emphasize faith nor reason, but rather the individual. Romantics rejected social standards and preconceived answers in order to find truth for themselves. In Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter, Hester, contrary to what society says, believes Dimmesdale has indeed repented. She demonstrates the American ideal of individuality, finding truth not solely through what society teaches, but through self-experience and contemplation. Because each has his own journey, each should find truth for his own self. In the 20th century, Americans, just as before, attempted to find truth about the best way each should live his or her own life. Modern thinkers were distinct and different. The modern character Janie in Zora Neale Hurston's Their Eyes Were Watching God expresses the existential American ideal of individuality. She says when sharing wisdom with a friend, 2 things everybody's got to do to find themselves. They got to go to their God, and they got to find out about living for themselves. Jeannie expresses what it means to be an American, an individual on a quest for truth. Through her past experiences, Janie realized that we all must experience life for ourselves, and we cannot solely rely on others. we must be individuals. Being one of 313 million Americans means discovering truth for ourselves. In the age of faith, many fell into superstition because they did not discover truth. They blindly believed. Let us all ask questions and examine our own faith. We should strive not to blindly trust it, but to claim this truth to be our own. In response, during the Age of Reason, there was a heavy emphasis on reason, claiming that truth is knowable. Let us all learn more about truth regarding ways to live a life or the presence of God. During Romanticism, thinkers rejected faith and reason, believing each should discover what is right for himself. Let us, too, do what we believe is right, even if the society tells us otherwise. The modern character Jamie demonstrates that, in life, each must live his own life, not solely relying on others. Let us also live independently and individually. All these schools of thought give valuable insight as to how to discover truth. However, none of this exists in a vacuum. We must, as Americans, combine these ideas and form our own. We must use reason to know truth, but also have faith in the things we cannot explain. We must recognize that we are individuals and independent, but look to others for help and encouragement. We are part of a nation with 313.9 million more people than us. If each lives out this American identity of individuality, our nation will be stronger and better. Start with your own self, and then, in the words of St. Ignatius of Loyola, set the world on fire.